Namaste. This class today, you might need, you'll benefit from having a strap, belt, something like that, and some blocks or books. So have your props handy. Themed around the idea of gardening, and I put together lots of postures which gardeners will benefit from. So if you've got sore neck and shoulders and lumbar spine, especially from gardening, these stretches and moves are good. But actually what's happened is there's so much that I want to talk about with the lumbar spine that I'm going to do this over two classes. And you don't have to be a literal gardener. I'm not very good and active in the garden. But as yogis, I love that we're all metaphorically gardeners, because we plant seeds, we learn stuff, we take in things, we try new stuff, we listen to philosophy and ideas, we plant these seeds, and then what happens if you plant your seeds in your garden and you walk away and forget about them? When you come back, what is growing successfully? The weeds. So unless you plant your seeds and then nourish and nurture them a little bit, water them, clear away the weeds, make sure the plants have space, then you can't enjoy the beauty of the flowers or the nourishment that comes from the vegetables that you're trying to grow. Okay, you've got to put in that bit of extra work and keep going, not just plant the seeds and hope that something will happen. Okay, so with that thought in mind, let's come to sitting and take a few mindful breaths, drawing the spine up nice and tall and relaxing the hands onto knees or thighs. Allow the eyes to gently close, the shoulders to drop away from the ears, and bring your attention to the breath. And as you breathe in and out through the nose, if that's okay, allow your energy to settle and soothe. Think of all the seeds that we plant in every yoga lesson. By revisiting them, coming back to them, seeing how they're doing, tweaking here and there, we're forever helping this growth that we're looking for in our physical bodies, in our minds, and in our soul. I want you to think about the breath coming in and out naturally and have an awareness of your spine whilst you're doing this. So we've got this beautiful S-shaped spine, and in fact we're the only animal that has this extra curve at the bottom of our spine. Our lumbar spine, we've got this lordosis, this curve, and this is to help us walk upright, okay? But we have to look after our spine, make sure that it stays oiled. It's got to stay fluid and moving. And there's a saying, we're only as healthy as our spine, which is very true. So we need to look after this. So to start with today, I want you to bring your strap with you and lie down on your mat, on your back, with your feet on the floor, knees bent. Have your strap loose in your right hand, and I want you to thread your left hand underneath your lower back and feel that arch. So this lordotic curve at the back of the body. I want you to take a few breaths in and out, and notice on the exhale, maybe you press down a little into your hands, and the inhale, you lift away. Think about the tilt that's happening in your pelvis as you do this. The pelvis gently rocks forward and back. We're going to be watchful of that today. So take out your left hand, bring the right knee over the chest for a quick hug, and then loop your strap around the ball of the right foot, holding either end of the strap in your hands. When you're ready, gently start stretching your right leg up towards the ceiling, pushing into the strap with your foot. Let the arms come straight. And take a few inhales, exhales here, bending the knee on the inhale, pushing into the strap, so using the resistance of the strap to get a stretch down the back of the leg. And allow your hands to slide down the strap when the foot is fully pushing into the strap and the leg is fully extended. Drop those shoulders back towards the mat. Try and keep the jaw and the neck relaxed. If this is really comfortable and you're not feeling much of a sensation down the back of the legs yet, then on the exhale, draw the foot a little closer to the head until you're feeling these muscles along the backs of your leg. Good. And then let's keep the foot there. Actually, one more thing. I want you, if this feels comfortable, to start sliding your left foot down your mat. See how this changes the relationship in your hips with the stretch. Where is the sensation now? Okay, just noticing that. And then bend your right knee. Release the foot from the strap. Let both legs be long for a moment. Strap can be in your left hand ready. If you want to, close your eyes just for a couple more breaths. I want you to feel how the right leg and hip feel after that stretch compared to the left one. And we're going to start again with both feet on the ground. So nice and secure. This encourages that natural arch in the lumbar spine. Let's hug the left knee into the chest and loop the strap around the ball of the foot. Taking your time to stretch it up. Doesn't matter if the leg doesn't want to fully straighten. I want you to go to your edge of stretch. Working there, bend the knee, inhale, release, exhale, push into the heel, feel a stretch. Again, take your shoulders back towards the floor so the upper body is staying nice and relaxed during this. The legs and the hips we want to work. Maybe drawing the foot a little closer to the head on the exhale, only if you're not already feeling anything. Okay, and it is said that if you can't take a straight leg up in the air at 90-degree angle, then you need to be very mindful of how you're going into forward bends. Okay, the body does not like going closer than this 90-degree angle. So if you're feeling this is really tight as it is, be mindful for the rest of the class, indeed the rest of your yoga classes. So let's just stretch that right leg out straight if you want to, if you're looking for more sensation in this stretch. Breathing through it if you can, as long as it's not painful. I'm all for a bit of challenge. So let the breath take you deep into the stretches. And then slowly releasing the right foot. Bend the knee. You can put the strap aside until later on in the class. Take a moment lying down before we come out of this. And then gently rolling onto one side, pressing yourself back up to sitting. And I'd like you to find a block or a cushion or something to sit up on. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this because I'm always banging on about get the hips up higher. So if I was going to sit on the ground without any support, I don't know if you can see that curve there. If I exaggerate it, that is how my back would look. It would round because I've got tight hip flexors. And what we want is the opposite. So I can try and draw my back up, but that is a big effort for me to keep it there. However, if I pop a block under my hips, what happens is that the pelvis tilts forward and naturally the back sways into its normal curves, its healthy curves without any effort. I could sit there. Also, if you're cross-legged, it gives you a chance of getting the hips higher than the knees, which we're looking for in a stable posture. Do not worry if that doesn't happen straight away, and don't feel you have to sit cross-legged. But I want you either in a comfortable cross-legged posture, even with the ankles crossed, or if that's not for you, have the legs out in front for this next little section. Okay, so let's roll the shoulders. Get that moving around the neck and the shoulders a few times. Lovely. And then I want you to bring your hands to your heart. Link the fingers together and inhale. As you exhale, take your knuckles towards me. So stretch them out in front of you. Let the back round and drop the head. Breathe here. Push your knuckles away from the shoulders. Feel maybe a stretch across the middle of the back of the shoulders, maybe at the back of the neck. And then bend the elbows as you inhale. Turn the palms, and as you exhale again, push the palms away from you. So you get a stretch in the fingers. If you don't like this, you can always turn the palms back again so that it's the knuckles pointing away from you. Otherwise, feel into it. See how the fingers feel having this stretch. And then inhale, let the fingers separate. Exhale as you take them behind the back, link the hands together, link the fingers together, and lift the heart, draw the knuckles back. So now we're deliberately arching the back, lifting the heart, drawing the shoulders back, so smiling wide collarbones. You can look straight ahead, you can even look up if that feels nice. And then exhale. As we bring our hands around the front, make them into fists and just give the wrists a little circle one way, then the other way. And bring your right hand to your heart. Take your left hand outstretched. Stretch through the fingers on an inhale. Keep the arm straight and bring it across the torso on the exhale. It might not come all the way, that's fine. And then use your right hand to just cradle it. So you're supporting this shoulder stretch across the body. What we're trying to do is reach into the distance with our left fingers and feel some sort of stretch around the back of the shoulder. And this hand just holds it there to enable that to happen. Good. Inhale, exhale. And then looking down at your right knee, you're going to take your left hand to the right knee or thigh, your right hand behind your hip. Come into a gentle twist, turning sideways. And like all twists, you control how deep you now go into it. So this might be fine for the next few breaths. Otherwise, lengthen up, pushing into the sit bones and lengthening up through the top of the head. And then exhale and turn. And think the left hip is going to stay facing the front. And you're moving away from the left hip, rotating around. Inhale and twist a little bit. Exhale, rotating again. Maybe looking all the way over your right shoulder, maybe not. So see what's right in the body for you. One more breath in your twist. And then coming all the way back to the front. Noticing how that feels. Let's swap the cross of the legs if you've had your legs crossed. Take your hands in front of the heart once more, and this time do the interlacing of the fingers and then try and swap that to the awkward way. So interlacing them the other way, where you have to decide what to do with the little finger and the thumbs so that it feels right. It's going to feel odd, okay? Inhale there. Exhale, reach the knuckles out in front of you, bow your head round the back. Notice if it's a little more open after a bit of work already, whether there's still plenty of tightness to release in the back of the body. whether this feels comfortable or not. And then inhale, bend the elbows a little. Exhale, push out through the palms. And you can decide to tuck the thumbs in or maybe have them tented, touching underneath. Same with the little fingers. They might not want to sit happily on top of this crisscross. They might stick up a little bit, noticing what happens in the body. Inhale as you separate the fingers. Exhale as you find them again behind the back. Have that natural interlace, the one that you always do, and then try and swap it to the awkward one. And enjoy a few breaths, lifting the heart, squeezing the shoulder blades together, maybe looking up if the neck is going to stay long and comfortable, otherwise looking forward, taking the knuckles down and away. Really nice, good. And this time, as you let the fingers separate, bunch the fingers into fists and then flick them a few times. Flick those fingers out, maybe give them a shake at the front as we come round to the front. And this time it will be the left hand on the heart, and we're going to extend out the right fingers. Nice and tall and long hands out there. Inhale. As you exhale, draw the hand across the body and then cradle it. And it might be different on one side to the other. One side might feel closer to the body or freer and easier, so just noticing. Breathe into the back of this shoulder where we're sending space. Good. Thinking about your left knee now. Drop your right hand to your left knee, right hand down by your hips and lengthen up. Exhale, see if you can turn with this right hip really grounded down. The left ribs are turning away from it. Spiraling up the body and then unwind a little. Think, can I have any more length, any more space in my spine? Gently turning into the twist on the exhale. Couple more breaths like that, working to your edge. Don't push past it. Feeling where it is and then back off again. And next time you're inhaling, coming all the way to the front. Lovely. Then come onto hands and knees for tabletop pose. So do this in almost every class because it is so good for the back. So our cat-cow stretches. We start by finding a neutral spine. Okay, so I often say a flat back, but what I mean by a flat back is the spine in its natural waves. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, so we're completely secure, this lovely straight-legged table. Crown of the head reaches forward, sit bones reach back, and you inhale there. And then you exhale, tilting the pelvis backwards, drawing the tummy up to the sky and drop the head. On the inhale, you tilt the pelvis forward, dropping the tummy down, lift the heart, lift the head. So moving mindfully through these two different directions, we're taking the spine in, thinking about the pelvis starting the movement. And we talk about the top of the pelvis when we're saying whether it's moving front or back, forward or back. So an anterior tilt forward in cow pose, a posterior tilt back in cat stretch where we're rounding the back. Lovely. Bringing that to stillness, and then either coming to down, half down dog, where you're walking your hands forward a long way into puppy dog and reaching out, stretching out the back, or hands come a little way forward of the shoulders, tuck the toes and lift into downward facing dog itself. I want you to keep the knees bent if you're in down dog so that we can really explore length in the back. Okay, tight hamstrings at the back of our legs make the back round. I want you to find that pelvic tilt, the anterior tilt like we do in our cow pose. I want you to find that in down dog. Okay, so this is exaggerating the movement, but we would rather have this anterior tilt than a posterior tilt where the back is rounded. We don't want that lumbar spine rounded. So if we really find the tilt, take the sit bones up to the sky, then we can appreciate the benefits of down dog. And then you can play with stretching out the legs. One foot pedals towards the floor, then the other. If you're in half down dog, then doing this by stretching the legs out. Anytime I take you into down dog for a while like we are now, you're welcome to come to kneeling again. Couple more breaths and we're going to come into a forward fold. So maybe a last bending of both knees, lengthen the spine by pushing into the hands, and then both heels reaching back towards the floor for a final stretch for now, and then walk forward. So slowly walking feet towards the hands, staying in a forward fold when you get to the front of the mat, checking in whether feet are hip width apart, or if you want a challenge, keep them closer together, dangling down. And this is a great place to practice our hip tilt and think about rising up and down in and out of a forward fold. So I want everyone to deliberately take their hands to their shins. And if you can, I don't know if you can see yourself in your video. It doesn't matter if you can't now. It's something to do maybe in front of a mirror, but I want you to deliberately, again, find this posterior tilt in the hips rather than an anterior one. So we're discovering today, trying to let this natural curve sit in our back. And it should be reasonably easy to do in this sort of half lifted forward fold. Inhale there, and then slowly, slowly, I want you to slide your hands down your legs. See how long you can keep that posterior tilt in the back for. It won't be forever. I can feel a point where my pelvis starts to level out and then tilt backwards and round. And then I finish my forward fold. I'd like you to do that twice more, please. So rise up to half forward fold, really tilt the pelvis, and then slide slowly down as you breathe out, and notice, feel that point where the back rounds. And it's when the back is rounded that we don't want to put pressure and weight on it. So we don't want to be lifted up with a rounded back. We want a flatter back. Okay, so after you've rested down this next time, I'd like you to try coming up with a flat-ish back. And that means pressing into your feet. Really press down into the toes, the balls of the feet. Come up halfway, maybe pausing there, feeling how is my spine here. The bend in the knees means the leg muscles are doing the work, and you rise up without the strain coming onto the lumbar spine. Now, of course, you've got the option to roll up, rounding the back, and that's absolutely fine unless you've got people with disc issues. Just want you to find a healthy way, the best way for you to be rising up and down. Okay. I had a teacher who told me in order to rise up, you need to put your weight in the front of your foot and beyond it. So he said, imagine you had clown shoes on, so bigger shoes than your feet. And it's that extra support in front of your feet that you're imagining you're pushing into in order to rise up. So I've got a little thing I want to try now with our blocks to try this out. So if you've got yoga blocks or something similar, bring them to the front of your mat. Doesn't matter exactly where you place them because we'll use our hands in a minute to get them in the right position. And then step back a little way from them. And we're working in pyramid pose, which is the one where we bow down over our leg. To start with, turn the left toes out to the side, about 30, 45 degrees. Take a big stride forward with the right foot, but not as big as if we were doing warriors. Okay, so about a meter between the feet, not a massive stride. And the hips want to stay square in pyramid pose. It's not one when we're turning to the side. We want them to face the front. To start with, we're not even going to worry about the blocks. We're going to keep our hands on our hips. We're going to do a half pyramid and come up again. So inhale, lengthen through the torso. Exhale, hinge at the hips here and bow down. Trying to keep that front leg straight for now if you can. Feeling into that half pyramid. Let the knee release if it's really tight and uncomfortable, but try bending and straightening it and keep working like that. So want the heart parallel with the floor, the crown of the head reaching forward. And I want you to imagine you've got a big clown shoe on that front foot, the right foot, and you're going to press into the ball of the foot, the toes, and the rest of your clown shoe as you inhale and rise up. Just notice if that feels any easier. It's more to do with imagining and sending the weight in different places. So it's very subtle, so don't worry if you don't feel it. Next thing we're going to do is add one arm into this posture, because the more weight we have to tilt forward and back, the more strain on the back. So if this is not for you, you keep your hands on your hips. Otherwise, lift the left hand up, inhale. Exhale, think length, reaching forward, hinging down. Let that left hand find a block. And then I want you to work there for a few breaths. Again, breathing in and out. If you want to flex that front knee, you can. I want you to take the right hip back because it's going to want to sneak forward. So take the right hip back to keep the hips parallel to the front and think length, length, length in my body. If you want to fold a little deeper, you can. But be wary of what your lumbar spine is doing. We want to keep it as flat as possible. Okay, one more breath there. Again, for the inhale, press down really strongly into the foot. Lift up. You can lift the arm as well, if that's okay for you. Otherwise, you bring the hand straight onto the hip, and we take the hand down. So now we do it with both hands. Okay, this is like we often move into forward bends, forward folds during a sequence we're flowing in. So let's see how this feels. Same leg still. Inhale, both hands up, or not, if that's not right for you. Exhale, lengthen forward halfway. Hands can come down and find the blocks. And then you work there. And maybe this time you drop the blocks onto one of their lower levels after a few breaths. You might be able to touch fingertips to the floor, or even more if you're flexible and the hamstrings are not too tight. Otherwise, you're really breathing into the stretch that you're feeling at the back of the leg. Again, if you need to straighten that front leg, let the knee go, but then try and draw that right hip back again. And our last couple of breaths, I'm going to encourage you to bow down, but I want you to feel flat back, come up as high as you want to, feel the flat back. And then as you exhale, bow down and feel that point where the back is now really rounding in order to get deeper into the posture and come back to where that flat back is, ready to rise up from there. Press down into the foot. Maybe both arms lift, maybe they come to the hips, your choice. Inhale all the way up, exhale down. And then step the foot back, push into the front foot, step the foot back. Take a moment into Dasana, so palms face forward, breathe. So we're working very subtly to try and get into our body these lessons, which muscles need to be activated, and to feel when our spine is in a healthy curve, when it's in a rounded curve where we might need to be more watchful of it. So let's do that all on the other side. Turn the right toes out, step the left foot forward, set up your blocks so that they're ready to use them when we need them. We'll start the same. We might go a little quicker through the options. We'll start with our hands on our hips. Inhale. Exhale, fold halfway and breathe there. Let the leg get used to this posture, okay? These are strong muscles we're working with. The hamstrings go from the hips down to the back of the knees. And when we sit for a long time, they get shorter and tighter. So they don't always like being stretched out. See if you can keep the hips level, draw that left hip back. Think clown's foot, press into the left ball of the foot, the left toes, micro bend in the knee, rise up. And then we make it a little harder for ourselves. So lift the right arm if you want to. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward, halfway, nice and controlled. Take the right hand down and find your block and breathe there. Does pushing into the block with your hand help lengthen out the back? Can you draw the left hip back a little further by using that support that you've now got? And can you try to push into the toes and the ball of the foot and think from the ground, I am lifting away from the ground. Maybe that hand comes to the hip, maybe it lifts up in the air. As you inhale, exhale the hand down. And then the final version, heavier on the back. So if this is okay for you, lifting both arms now, inhaling, exhaling. Think reaching forward rather than down. That's why I want you to pause at this halfway point. Then take the hands down, trying not to lose the length in the back. You've got a few breaths here to play. So if you want to go down lower on your blocks, see what that does in the body. Can you rediscover a long spine? Maybe you need to bend the knee to do that. Maybe you need to lift up higher. Where is the point where you're keeping the nice flat back, getting length in the spine? Where does it change to round? You can have a bow down. Touch your nose to your knee if you want to, and then see how much your spine rounds doing that or trying to do that. But no pulled muscles, please. Good. Pressing down into that front foot. You're going to rise up. Just float the hands and the body up. Exhale. Come back to Tadasana. So push into the front foot, step it back. Good. Take a few breaths here. You can close your eyes. Soft focus down at the floor. How does this feel? Okay. For our balance today, as we've got the blocks with us, we're going to do Warrior 3 from the floor. Next week, we'll do it, as I often do it, from standing. So Warrior 3 is the one where we tilt forward. As we've got the blocks, we're going to work from the floor up today. So come to this half forward fold at the front of your mat, have the blocks, and walk the feet away from them again until the back feels nice and long and you feel more or less square, so you're not really close together or too far apart. And then we're going to stand on our left foot to start with, so really pressing down into your left foot. I'm just going to test I've got, some room behind me. Good. And keep the gaze at the floor. The crown of the head stays reaching towards the wall in front of you. A little micro bend in the standing leg. And when you're ready, just float the right foot out behind you, trying to get it level with the hips. I want you to be wary of not turning the toes out sideways and lifting that hip up to stay balanced, okay? We want to keep the right toes pointing down at the floor. That takes a little bit of inward rotation on the right thigh. Keep the back straight, as if we had a rake down the back of the body, keeping us nice and straight, reaching that heel away. If you want to have a little test with the balance, taking the hands off the blocks, you can, but that's not so much what today is about. Breathing in there and breathing out, bringing the foot back down to the ground nice and slowly, rising up to standing to finish that side. Good. So We want to think about keeping the front of the thighs and the toes pointing forwards, not out to the side. Okay, let's come down again to our blocks, press into our right foot and lift the left foot up behind. Trying not to let that left hip lift too much. It should be level with the right hip rather than higher up. And you probably need to consciously rotate the thigh inwards so that the toes stay pointing at the floor rather than out to the side. Lengthen the neck, length out through the crown of the head. Shift your weight in your foot. Think about what you would need to do to let go of the blocks, to be floating without them. We'll have a play with this again next week, trying to come into it a different way. And when you're ready, taking the foot down and rising up to standing. Lovely. Okay, so we can now put the blocks aside. We won't need them. And we're going to have a little stretch out of the shoulders, then we'll do our sun salutation. So find your strap again. Take it wider than hips and shoulders, not too wide. It's easier to let a bit more of the strap slip through your hands than try and climb back into the middle of it. And stand with the feet a good hip width apart, maybe a little wider, so that you feel nice and stable in the feet. We're going to inhale with straight arms. Inhale the strap up with a little bit of tension in it. Exhale, bend the elbows, take the strap behind the head so you feel an opening across the chest. Inhale, pulling the strap apart so you've got that little bit of tension. Exhale down. Now you probably need to take the hands a bit wider, but don't do it yet. We're going to see if we can find the biting point behind our head. So I'm just going to show you this. We'll go up. You come down with the elbows bent and you'll feel there's a point where it's like, well, they're not going to go further than that. That's where I want you to let the strap just slip a little bit until you feel there's a juicy point there that the strap goes past. And we're going to try and find that for one breath on the way down and on the way up. So don't worry about having the strap too wide or you won't feel any benefit from this posture. So inhale, lift it up. Exhale, take the belt behind, okay? And then have a play. Let the belt slip through the hands a little bit at a time. Use the tension in the belt to feel the muscles working. There'll be that point where it's like, and then suddenly, it goes past. Once you've found that, we then want to go back again. See if you can pause at that point where you're getting lots of work into the muscles. Breathe in, breathe out. And then next time you breathe in, take the strap all the way up over the head and down the front. Good. And you can place the strap away to one side. We won't need that again. If you did that with just the right amount of tension in the belt, you should now be feeling something in the upper arms and shoulders, unless they're super flexible, and you can do that without thinking too much about it anyway. So let's come to the front of our mat and do our sun salutation. Bringing the hands to the heart. We'll do it twice. We'll take one stroll through and then we'll do it more quickly. So inhale, lifting the arms. Exhale, folding down, touching the ground. The right foot is going to step back into a lunge and take a moment in the lunge. Check your knees over the ankle. Lift the heart forward. Think crown of the head reaching forward. The back heel stretching away, and you can always drop the back knee as an option here. Press into the hands, step it back, downward facing dog, or you come to kneeling straight away. If you're in down dog, a nice big exhale as you try to reach the heels back a little further. And then everyone comes to kneeling. Lifts the head, lifts the heart as the pelvis tilts forward for our cow pose. Exhale as you round the back, drop the hips back, And come into child pose. Knees might go a little wider, big toes might touch, or you might want to keep the thighs parallel to each other. Think about the fingers reaching forward, ready for cobra. So you're going to either rise up and drop the hips down, or you might slither forward on your belly, coming into cobra pose, knowing that this is all done on one inhale as we flow faster through this. And exhale, slowly come back from the posture, either pausing in kneeling or tuck the toes, come all the way back to downward facing dog. Now the fun bit, the stepping through. We're going to step the right foot forward. So bend the knees, push off with your left foot as best you can. Step the right foot between the hands. If it doesn't get there, either drop the knee, shuffle it forward, or we can sort it out in a moment, because the next posture, you push off with the left foot and bring that forward as well, and you're in a forward fold. Think about rising up here. Press down into the balls of the feet and the toes and start lifting up, keeping the effort off that lumbar spine. Rising up on the inhale, exhaling the hands down to the heart. And if you're not back at the front of the mat, that's the point to just take a little step forward. So it doesn't matter if you haven't got all the way forward in that lunge. Let's do that the other side. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding down. Allow the head to relax. This little bow down moment. Really touching the earth, feeling grounded, ready for the rest of the sequence. So this time it'll be the left foot stepping back, big stride. Again, with a pause now, we've got time to check that our hips are level, that this is a dynamic posture. It's an inhale we'll be doing this on. So we're lifting the heart. We're looking forward rather than dropping the head, looking down. But it's absolutely fine if you want to drop the knee. Okay, that's better for you. And then pushing into the hands, you're stepping back, either to down dog or coming to kneeling. That's an exhale. Then the inhale is when we drop the knees, tilt the pelvis, lift the head, cow pose. Exhale into child. Stay there for a breath. Feel the benefit of child pose. Maybe the head touches the floor, maybe it hovers above it. The hands stay active, so the fingertips are pressing into the mat. You choose how you come through to your cobra pose. Hips are on the floor in cobra, and then the torso rises up. It could be a tiny shallow cobra or lifting right up off the floor. And then you reverse all those moves, either staying in kneeling or coming back to downward facing dog. And then think about stepping through. Okay, sometimes it helps if the feet are a bit closer together. You bend your knees, you push off with the right foot because it's the left foot now that has to step up between the hands into your lunge. And then your right foot joins it. You're in your forward bend. As you press down, you rise up. So feel that rebound from your pressing down into your feet. That'll help lift you up. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Take a nice deep breath. And then we're going to flow through that. One breath, one posture. Both sides. Ready? Here we go. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, bowing down. Inhale, right foot steps back into lunge. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, coming to the knees, cow pose. Exhale, back to child as you exhale. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward dog or kneeling. Inhale, right foot steps forward. Exhale, left foot joins it, forward fold. Press down, rise up. Inhale, lift the hands. Exhale, bring them to the heart. Take a breath. And we'll do the other side. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold down. This time the left foot goes back first into that lunge. Then the right foot steps back for downward facing dog. Everyone to their knees. Inhale, lift the heart, lift the head, cow pose. Exhale into child. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, back to kneeling or downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot stepping forward. Exhale, bow. Rise up on the inhale. And exhale to finish the sequence with the hands at the heart. And then come into Tadasana and spend a moment with the eyes closed if you can, or soft gaze, and notice the effects of Surya Namaskar, our sun salutation, on the body. Maybe feeling the warmth that it generates, maybe noticing the breath, the heart rate, letting everything settle and soothe in this moment after that activity. Maybe noticing the inner prana, the energy within our bodies, not in the muscles, the sinews, but that unidentifiable feeling of electricity within. Good. Bring your hands to your heart. You're going to come down to kneeling. So inhale, lifting up. Exhale, gentle fold forwards. Take a step back and come to tabletop pose. Ready to thread the needle. So one of our twisted positions. And if you get down in thread the needle and you think, I want something under my head, you've got your blocks today. So maybe have them within reaching distance. You might want to use them as a pillow if you find this posture uncomfortable. So let's press into our right hand. The knees are a little bit closer together, so hip width distance or a little bit closer. The left hand is going to lift out to the side. We can look up to it. Inhale. Exhale, thread that arm underneath. Let the back of the left hand come along the mat and bring your cheek and left shoulder down onto the floor. Like I say, you can always use a block to bring the head down onto if that feels more comfortable. And once you're down, you've got the option of the right forearm resting on the floor beside your face, keeping you nice and stable. Or you can start walking the right fingertips forward so that the right arm comes over the right ear, and you've got a stretch going on in the shoulder. It takes you a little more into the twist. You might want to walk your knees back to make the back feel longer. So have a play, and then you've got 3 more deep breaths on this side. Can you soften into the posture? Left fingertips are gently curled. Right fingertips walk back beside the face now, ready to push down into the right hand. Unravel yourself on an inhale. Reach that left hand up and bring it back to the floor. Let's do that on the other side. So square yourself up ready. Pressing into the left hand this time, lift the right hand out and up, and then thread it under the left arm. Let yourself find the floor. It might take a couple of breaths to get comfortable. So right cheek, right shoulder, find the floor. You control how tight the twist is. You can reach that right arm forward, or you can draw the shoulder back for a gentler twist. And you can keep this left hand here near the face, or you can walk it away over the head. What is your body asking for today? What does your garden need for nourishment? How much work does it need? How much tenderness does it need? This is a lovely stretch if you've been doing lots of gardening. And just because I say that, it might not be what you're feeling in your body. Never worry if you think, oh, I don't think it's lovely. We all feel things differently. And bringing your left hand back near your face, press down and unwind yourself, lifting that right hand up and back to the floor. Good. Okay. I want you to gently bring yourself round to sitting and lower yourself down onto your back. Ask yourself, what does the body need? Do you want to hug the knees over the chest? Do you want to have a long stretch out? See what's right for you. And then have a play today to find your relaxation position. So try Shavasana, the classic Shavasana with the legs straight, feet wide apart, toes dropping away from each other. And then perhaps closing your eyes, perhaps placing one hand under your lumbar spine. Feel how the body settles in that position. Is it comfortable? And notice the difference if you bend your knees, let the knees rest together. Is that more comfortable in the lumbar spine? Would it be distracting to hold your knees in that position for relaxation? What works for you? And if neither of those postures are obviously immediately comfortable, you might choose to spend relaxation in a seated posture, perhaps supported by a wall behind you. Whichever pose we settle in for this last few minutes of the class, it needs to be something which allows the spine to feel extended and straight, not rounded and collapsed. Definitely not painful. So perhaps wriggling shoulders and hips, getting just the right position so that your back has space. And the arms aren't clamped to your sides. The hands, the palms can be turned up to the sky. If that's not comfortable, see how it feels to place the palms on the belly. Finding your relaxation posture. And when you're settled there, letting go of any tension in the muscles. So there should be no effort. Checking that the jaw is relaxed, the teeth aren't clenched, and that the hands aren't gripping, the fingers are soft. And let go of the strong muscles in the thighs and across the shoulders. Let them relax. Let the belly be soft and the breath naturally coming in and out. Follow the breath in and out of the body. The eyes gently closed, eyelids resting rather than being scrunched together. Allow your attention to come to the spine. And imagine you could watch the breath going up the spine on the inhale, and down the spine on the exhale. Remembering that the spine starts way down at the tailbone, at the base of the pelvis. It travels all the way up the back, into the neck, and into the skull. So the top of the breath is right up in the head, if not at the crown of the head. Imagining the inhale finishing there and turning and going back again, down the spine, all the way down on the exhale to the tailbone. There might be a little pause at the top and or the bottom. It's wherever your breath leads you. You're following it as it goes up and down the spine in your own rhythm, your own time. I'd like you to think that on the inhale, you're breathing in space and light into the spine. And on the exhale, you're letting go of tension. That exhale takes you into relaxation. Inhaling space and light. Exhaling, letting go and relaxing. Imagining all the muscles and the nerves that connect to the spine. So that as you're exhaling, you're sending out the relaxation all through the body, out into the many pathways that lead to the limbs, the organs. By focusing on this central core axis through the center of our body, nourishing and nurturing the spine, we're doing our gardening, getting the soil right for the rest of our body to flourish from. So letting go now of the image of the spine, the pattern of the breath, breathing freely and easily once more. No focus or particular attention. And I'd like you to start making small movements with fingers and toes. Take a couple of nice deep inhales. And if it feels good, sighing out the exhales. And again. If you'd like to have a stretch or hug or move the body in any way that feels good to you, take your time, but gently making your way onto your side. Using your hands and arms to press you back up to sitting when you're ready. And we'll finish by bringing our hands to our heart. Inhale, taking the arms out to the side and up. Palms meet at the top, and the exhale brings them back down in front of the heart space. And take a bow to yourself, to our practice, and to being metaphorical gardeners, sowing the seeds and nurturing them for the benefit and enjoyment of our yoga practice and our life. Namaste.